Hello everyone, this is Prasad Patki from Simi Foundation. Today we are going to learn about educational thoughts of Sri Aurobindo Ghosh. Sri Aurobindo Ghosh is a well-known mystic and spiritual thinker, a patriot and a poet. But his contribution to educational thought and practice is also outstanding. In order to understand what the aims of education are according to him, we need to know his philosophy of life and education. Sri Aurobindo's philosophy emerged out of his own life, education, experiences, and insight. He had a very good background of Indian culture and heritage, an insight into the modern scientific life, and familiarity with the Western civilization. As such, he brought about a synthesis of the Eastern and Western cultures and of matter and spirit. His vision of life blended the Oriental and Occidental cultures, spiritual and material values, and science and Vedanta. According to him, there is not only an evolution of forms, but also an evolution of consciousness. This evolution of consciousness does not end with mind, but extends to greater consciousness called truth consciousness, supermind, superconsciousness, or dynamic divine. In other words, he emphasized the evolution of man to superman and believed that man with a mind cannot be ignorant. Aurobindo believed that the cosmic energy is evolutionary. There are various grades of evolution in the human mind, and the mind has a dynamic relationship with the higher levels of consciousness. He also upheld the point that reason and intellect are not adequate for acquiring knowledge. Something more like intuition, that is superconsciousness, is very much required. Aurobindo's philosophy emphasizes the whole man, the man together with nature and spirit, which equally manifests in man, world, and God, the integral experience of Satchidananda. In other words, his philosophy affirms the reality of the world from the ultimate standpoint and the meaningfulness of socio-political action from the spiritual standpoint. Sri Aurobindo upheld the basic but commonly forgotten principle, the spirit, the living and vital issue that we have to do with. And there the question is not between modernism and antiquity, but between an imported civilization and the greater possibilities of the Indian mind and nature, not between the present and the past, but between the present and the future. According to him, in devising a true and living education, three things are to be taken into account: man, the individual in his consciousness and his uniqueness; the nation or people; and universal humanity. Reflecting on the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo, let us see what his conception of education and its ultimate goals are. Sri Aurobindo conceived of education as an instrument for the real working of the spirit in the mind and body of the individual and the nation. He professed integral education, which emphasizes both the aspects, matter and spirit. It provides facilities for a variety of faculties as well as subjects, and various combinations of pursuits of knowledge, power, harmony, and skill in works, leading to the natural process of harmonious development. He insisted that the manifestation of beauty, power, knowledge, and love must be the aim of integral education. The discipline of beauty should evolve a program of physical education in order to build a body that is beautiful in form, harmonious in posture, and powerful in functions, and which is capable of serving as a potential instrument for higher consciousness. The austerity of power refers to control of sensations, which should be trained to acquire and develop knowledge. The discipline of knowledge helps developing a mental makeup and an active and alert mind. The discipline of love is the formation of desirable feelings and emotions, which should be directed towards wholehearted charity and goodwill towards others and communion with the divine. According to Sri Aurobindo, mind or antakaran is the instrument of the educationist, and it consists of four layers. 1. Chitta, the storehouse of memory. 2. Manas, the mind proper, the sixth sense of Indian psychology. 3. Buddhi, the intellect. And 4. Genius, sovereign discernment, intuitive perception of truth, inspiration of speech, direct vision of knowledge. Thus, education should aim at developing these 4 aspects. Further, Sri Aurobindo upheld the significance of moral education too, and believed that the best kind of moral education is to habituate an individual to the right emotions, the noblest associations, and the best mental, emotional, and physical habits. Religious education is also considered important, but this is of no use unless it is lived, and the use of various kinds of sadhana, that is, spiritual self-training and exercise, is the only effective preparation for religious living. He also advocated training of the senses and other mental faculties, along with faculties of memory, judgment, observation, comparing and contrasting, and analogy, which is indispensable aids in the acquisition of knowledge. Aurobindo emphasized imagination as the most important and indispensable instrument. Imagination consists of 3 functions. 1. The forming of mental images. 2. The power of creating thoughts, images, and imitations, or new combinations of existing thoughts and images. And 3. The appreciation of the soul in things, beauty, charm, greatness, hidden suggestiveness, the emotion and spiritual life that pervades the world. He also advocated psychic education and spiritual or supramental education. Psychic education is to discard selfishness, whereas spiritual education is to realize self, which means transformation of matter, the end of integral education. He calls it supramental education as it will work not only upon the consciousness of individual beings, but upon the very substances of which they are built, and even upon the physical environment in which they live. Aurobindo's concept of true education is integral education, which concerns 5 principal activities of the human being: the physical, the vital, the mental, the psychic, and the spiritual. Such a scheme of education not only helps the evolution of an individual, but also helps the evolution of the nation and finally humanity. Based on his philosophy of education, he advocated 3 cardinal principles of education which govern the process of education. They are: 1. Nothing can be taught or improved from outside. Fundamentally, the only thing you must do is to teach them to know themselves and to choose their own destiny, the way they want to follow. 2. The mind has to be consulted in its growth. The aim of education is to help the growing soul draw out its best. And 3. Educational process must emphasize on from near to the far, from that is to that which shall be. That's all from this session. We'll meet you again in next section soon. Thank you.